Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to another showing of the Atheist Experience. I'm your host today, Ashley Perrien, and my co-host,
Dob Baker. Good to be here.
Very much for coming and helping out. We are live today. It's February 27th, and we're being sponsored by the Atheist Community of Austin, a nonprofit educational organization promoting positive atheism and the separation of church and state. We have weekly meetings every Sunday at Crescent City Beignets on 6th Street, a couple blocks west of Lamar. Those start at 11:30 and typically go till about 1, 2 o'clock. It's very informal, very open. Any atheist-friendly people, you're more than welcome to come out there and join us and meet some of us, get some donuts and gumbo and whatnot. Again, that's every Sunday at 11:30 at Crescent City Beignets. Also, every Monday night, we have Godless Gamers at the House of Russell Glasser. That's at 7:30, and if you go to our website, atheist-community.org, you can get details on where and exactly when that is, but that's Monday nights. Also, every Thursday night, we have Atheist Happy Hour at Antonio's Tex-Mex on the southbound feeder of I-35, just south of 183. That starts at 7:30 and goes until we decide to leave. It's basically very much like the Sunday meetings, open to pretty much any atheist-friendly people who want to come down. Also, what other things do we have? Every other Saturday, we have the Internet Audio Show, The Non-Prophets, which is hosted by Jeff D. and co-host is Dennis Loubet, producer is Russell Glasser. And that's at atheistnetwork.com. It's every other Saturday from 2 to 3:30. I believe the next showing will be this upcoming Saturday, which I think is like the 5th of March or something like that. But if you go to our website, they have details on it there on exactly which Sundays it will and will not be airing. And also, if you go to the Nonprofits radio show page, you can download about the last half dozen episodes or so in MP3 format. Okay, let's see. A couple quick non-repeating announcements to make. Actually, one more repeating announcement. After the show, we have been going out to dinner, the cast and crew, and I believe that we are doing that again tonight. We do that at Chili's. It's on the southeast corner of I-35 and 183. The show ends at 6 o'clock. We'll be down there around 6:40. Again, atheist-friendly people, more than welcome. We'd love to have you come down and chat with us and give us your opinion, feedback, and whatnot. So that's where we're going to be after the show. Also, next week on the show, longtime viewers will remember Arlo Pignati. He used to be the sound man for the show years back, and he's kind of come and gone. He's been on the show a few times since then. He will be back next week, and he will be doing Holy Paraphernalia Mania 3. Apparently, it's been getting pretty good reviews in general, the Holy Paraphernalia 1 and 2. He actually gave those, the first one, I know he came and did one of the lecture series a couple years back. He did that for us. The second one he did on a show, and the third one's going to be upcoming next week. This is a show that actually, American Atheist, I believe it is, sponsors him on it to a certain extent. He goes up there to Boston during the meeting and gives a whole presentation up there. So, but like I say, it's just, he's got paraphernalia from all religions, not just Christianity. And basically it's actual items that Christians sell to other Christians and religious people to religious people to try and promote their faith.
Yeah, like the little wind-up fire-breathing nun, that sort of thing.
No, actually, because that is considered a joke.
Oh, okay.
So
he's concentrating on the real stuff.
Yes, that's a funny piece that, people make to kind of spoof off religion or something like that.
Okay.
The stuff he has is actually real. If you go to the Christian stores, it's stuff you can find. It's things like shirts where you've got, it's a Jesus sign on the shirt, but he's not just this frail little weakling guy. I mean, he is a buff guy.
Oh, right. Like Jesus is Rambo sort of stuff.
Exactly.
I've seen that, right? Yeah.
Jesus is Rambo, and he's like beaten to a shred. And it's, pump this. It's meant for like a workout gym or something, a Christian workout gym. And,
okay.
Yeah, I mean, he's like doing push-ups and he's got a cross on his back. It's actual stuff that if you look at it, it's just plain funny.
Good thing I'm going before him. It'd be something a hard act to follow. Yeah.
So yeah, again, that's going to be next week. I believe that's March 6th is going to be the next show. And so if you want to see that, which you most likely do, don't forget to tune in next week.
Okay.
Also, a couple business announcements really quick. Any board members who happen to be watching, we will be having our board meeting. It's not for a couple weeks. It's March 13th. And I believe that's going to be at Schlotsky's. The exact location and which one it is, I'm not too sure.
Members are invited.
So, yes, all ACA members are invited.
And we'll announce it.
But, you know, it's mainly a board meeting, so it's going to be business-wise. But yeah, we'll have an announcement on our email list. So if you're watching and you're a board member, just mark on your calendar March 13. Also, we will be having new elections for ACA board members on May 1st. Still a few months away, but again, it's something to be thinking about. If you're considering running for the board, that would be very good. So come forward, and to any board member, we will tell you what it's all about, what you need to do, responsibilities, stuff like that. And you could be thinking about that. So again, that's going to be May 1st. Still got a couple months off, but something to be thinking about. So. Okay, that is it for all of our announcements. I've got a couple stories that I could possibly do, an email I could go over. But what say we do what you got to do first?
Okay. Well, before I kind of got into my topic today, which is the economics of the afterlife. That's why we did the Swing Low Sweet Cadillac song. So that's the reason for that. Before we start into that, let's talk a little bit about the Ten Commandments monument. Right now, we have a Supreme Court case that's going to be heard Wednesday of next week.
Yeah, I meant to say that. Actually.
And it's a local case. It's very interesting. We have a lawyer, Thomas Van Orden, who is not a professional, not a working lawyer. He's someone who has suffered some hard times in his life, but he strongly believes in the separation of church and state, and that the monument should not be there. He's actually a religious person himself, as I recall. Anyway, he has challenged the monument there on the north side. We have a picture of it if you guys want to put it up in the back there. This is on the north side of the Capitol, and he claims that this is the promoting religion. And of course, it's the Ten Commandments, and you can almost read it, "I am the Lord thy God." It starts out. So, if that ain't religious, something's wrong here. Anyway, so thank you. So he's challenged it through the state courts and I think the state
the regional court or whatever it is.
Yeah, the Fifth Circuit, I think, ruled that it was okay. That it wasn't an establishment of religion, and
which directly contradicts
another case, right?
Other cases that have been decided.
There's an ongoing. There was a case in, I think it's Kentucky, similar monument, and they ruled the other way. Of course, so one of the jobs of the Supreme Court is to reconcile these differences. So they agreed to hear the case, and they're going to hear it next week. The ACA is producing a little item that we're hoping to get published in the Statesman about it. We're going to have a longer little piece on our webpage next week. This kind of goes into some of the history and some of the details and all the ironies behind it and why it shouldn't be there. So I thought I'd mention that as something that we're kind of excited about, very interested in church-state separation issues.
Yeah, the actual arguments will be heard on March 2nd. So it's definitely something to keep an eye out. That's in the Supreme Court.
Right. So they'll publish a transcript of that pretty early, but it'll be months before they actually issue a ruling. It'll probably be, I'm guessing, June or so. Yeah. Okay. So it'll be a while.
Excellent.
So while we're also on the subject of the founding fathers and the framers and all that, Jefferson was one of the authors of the Constitution, I guess.
Yep. A founding father of our country.
Yes, absolutely, and he kind of was a big promoter of this church-state separation issue. I think we owe a lot to him for that. And so I have this little news piece here from Virginia, the News Virginian. This is from February 22nd. Religious group challenges traditional history. Apparently they had a President's Day celebration. They dressed up as all the different presidents, but they explicitly excluded Jefferson. And the reason is that it was the day to recognize the perpetrator, that the enemy of the gospel, Jefferson, according to Christian heritage officials, was explicitly excluded. And the reason is they they claim that he feigned belief in God to achieve his own political ends and to come to sever Jesus Christ from his divinity. So
and how many public officials have not done that? have not gone to church and make sure they get filmed in front of the church with the Bible in hand, shaking hands, praise be to you.
Yeah.
Just to try and, make it appear that I can go and be religious too.
Well, yes, so certainly all of the modern presidents, I think, regardless of their beliefs, pander to the religious people.
Yeah.
Jefferson was definitely a man of principle, but he was not a Christian, and he never claimed to be a Christian. He was a deist. Deism is kind of the absentee landlord God, that this God supposedly created the universe, and that's it.
Yeah, wound it up and let it go.
Right. So there's no notion of a Bible, no notion of God talking to you, no notion of prayer, all that. Yeah. So
and he actually believed and agreed that Jesus was a good moral teacher.
Right.
And so his version of he did actually write didn't write, but he edited to his version of the Bible, which was basically just all the sayings of Jesus.
Right.
That's essentially
he took out all the divine parts, all the divine miracles that he didn't believe in.
Here's what Jesus taught. And that was his Bible.
Right. And this is a well-known thing called the Jeffersonian Bible.
Exactly.
You can actually go out and buy this thing if you're interested. So this group is kind of claiming that Christians founded the country. I think that's the implicit claim here, which is not correct. And it's kind of irrelevant because the founding fathers founded the country as a secular country.
Yeah.
And
regardless of their personal
religious freedom is
religious beliefs, they said this country should be secular.
Right.
Even though they personally may be Christian, deist, theist, atheist, whatever, that's irrelevant. The country should be secular. So
Right. And we're very fond of that idea. We think that's a great principle.
Exactly.
Okay. So that's what's going on. We're watching the Ten Commandments and all that, and we very fond of Jefferson. So today I want to talk. We get lots of calls. I think Christians get lots of calls and debate about Pascal's wager.
Yes.
And Blaise Pascal was
mathematician, wasn't he?
Yeah, 17th century, I think, mathematician. One of his claims to fame is he did a lot of the mathematics surrounding probability. And actually, if you look at the mathematics behind, his mathematics, this Pascal's wager is really kind of a notion of expected value.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that. So Pascal's wager, basically the claim is, if you believe and God exists, you gain everything. If you disbelieve and God exists, you lose everything. Okay, so the idea is that it's better to believe because your expected value, your probable outcome is better, right?
Yeah.
And the way that sort of works mathematically is for expected values there are various outcomes that you choose. So you're making a decision about whether or not to believe, right? So that's sort of outside this whole mathematics actually.
Yeah.
Based on the decision, based on this uncertainty that you have whether or not God exists, there's an expected value, right? So you have some sort of probability that God exists, some sort of probability God doesn't exist. He doesn't go into the details of what those probabilities are, right? But then you multiply those probabilities by the reward that you would get, or the punishment that you would get. So the punishment presumably would be negative or whatever, right? And then you add all this up, and this is the sort of expected value of the decision that you make. And you can make the decision to believe and run all this calculation. You can make a decision not to believe and run the calculation. And he claims that it's better to believe, right?
Yeah.
I think one of the things I want to sort of point out today is that this is an okay way actually to make decisions in life and about reasoning about uncertainty. You can decide whether or not to gamble, for example, because you're paying a certain amount into the slot machine or whatever. There's a certain probability there'll be a payout, right? And over a long period of time, you can calculate how much money you'll make or lose using this theory, and this is all just fine. But it really sort of starts to have problems, mathematical problems, if you start, throwing infinites in there, right? So if heaven is an infinite reward, then it throws the mathematics off quite a bit. I mean, even if you have a very, very, very small probability of there being a God, then there's still a very large outcome if you have this infinite reward or infinite penalty. So it kind of wreaks havoc with your ability to reason about things. So while we're on the subject of Pascal's wager, I think we can maybe go through some of the list of problems with it. First off, how do you know which God to believe in? I mean, you could make this Pascal's wager about all sorts of different gods, right? There's several 100,000 of them or what, right?
Yeah. And they're very often exclusionary, as in...
Oh, absolutely.
As in our God, Christianity, the Ten Commandments, everybody says these are the rules, Ten Commandments.
Thou shalt have no other gods
before me. Thou shalt have no other gods before me.
Absolutely.
So therefore, all these other gods have to be secondary to that one. But chances are, one or two of them are going to get pissed off at that. They would want to be the primary one.
Right.
And so you can't have two gods in front. So, yeah, they're not all going to play nice together.
Right. So you have the avoiding the wrong hell problem is called, where well, you're doing all the right things, but you've made the wrong decision as far as which one. So that's one problem.
I'll say it at the end, but go on.
Okay. Another problem is God is not stupid. You know, if you're working the system, He's going to figure that out, supposedly. If there's no God, you still have lost something. There is a penalty for believing in God. There's a penalty for you to go tithe and to go to church and all this stuff. You have to do all that. There's also a penalty for people who are non-believers for certain people who believe in God. For example, there's a stem cell research ban going on, right? A lot of Christians are up in arms about the stem cell research ban. Well, if they ban stem cell research, then they're effectively inhibiting the value that could come out of that, and they're harming people who would benefit from that, right? Yes. They're harming people who are sick with genetic diseases that might address, and so on. So there's definitely a penalty here. You know, we have religious wars. We have all sorts of penalties for belief in God. Yeah. So the fact that it's trivial to believe or not believe is I think wrong. Is a wrong analysis. Let's see. What else here? Those are I think the main ones.
And I think my point. I think you might have actually touched on it. God is not stupid. I don't think that God, being relatively intelligent and a good person in general, a good being, would have all that fond of an eye to say, okay, you believed in me the whole time because it was a mathematical benefit to
you.
Right,
because you were working the system.
Yeah, I mean,
you're counting cards, right?
Exactly. Card counting is illegal. I'm sorry. You did everything right, but sorry, you're still going to hell because, we don't want somebody who's going to praise me just because it's a mathematical probability that they're going to get to heaven or something. So
okay,
I can see him having
we'll hit on some other little problems with Pascal's wager in a little bit. Somebody has countered with an atheist wager, which is the atheist spin on this, and I like this quite a bit. Let me read it. It is better.
Not that we're unbiased, though.
Not that we're unbiased, right? It's our show, damn it. Anyway, it's better to live your life as if there are no gods and try to make the world a better place for your being in it. If there is no God, you've lost nothing and will be remembered fondly by those who you left behind. If there is a benevolent God, He will judge you on your merits and not just whether or not you believed in Him.
There you go.
So this is the atheist wager. We like this version of it quite a bit more.
Exactly. I would think that God would, if there were a God, He would judge you on who you are, how you've lived your life. Have you made the world a better place and that kind of thing, rather than just blind obedience.
Oh yeah. So, in fact,
at least I would hope so.
But if it were all about sort of doing good things, then it would put the religious guys out of business. And I think that's the real reason why they're promoting this other thing, right? Is if it were just doing good, we could all agree on that, and there'd be no need for religion. So
exactly.
Okay, so let's talk about. This potential reward. What about the afterlife, and what are your various possibilities that might occur? These are all kind of interesting and such. There's very little consensus about how you're going to get to your destination, whether it's going to be heaven or hell or purgatory or Valhalla or whatever it is.
Or you get your own universe like the Mormons, or
Right.
Stuff like that.
And I think that the lack of consensus says two things. It says that nobody really knows, right? They haven't got a clue. They can't agree. And two, I think that they're intentionally deceptive so that they sort of are moving the cheese around the rat's maze so that you keep you running. I think it's all really about manipulation ultimately. So let's talk about heaven. We're supposedly you're going to go cozy up to this God who would torture you if you didn't believe in him. So he's just a great guy. There is we have the Judaism really doesn't say much about the afterlife. They pretty much don't have that. And Christianity is a sort of branch off that. Christianity talks about this reward of being in heaven, playing the harp or whatever silliness is there. Islam has an interesting version. Let's see. Upon death, Islam allows you to a trial before Allah and a chance to speak, so that you get to be judged interactively.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice, based on this binary thing, whether you believe or not. Instead of that in Christianity, the verdict of heaven or hell is based on your earthly conduct, and the surahs of the Quran provide that a virtuous infidel will go to paradise. So this is not too bad a deal.
Yeah.
That if you're that seems to be a decent thing.
If you're going to believe in anything that's completely unproven and has no evidence to it, this is at least one of the nicer ones. At least given that little snippet.
Yeah.
No ideas what else is out there, but given that little snippet, at least if you're a good person, you can go and appeal your case.
Yeah. So that's not too bad. Let's see. All is paradise. You'll have a garden of delight, inwrought couches which you can lie around, but you'll be an ever-blooming youth, and you'll have a lot of flowing wines, it says, and favorite fruits, and you'll be able to eat your favorite bird whenever you want.
And what about the virgins?
Oh, the virgin's coming up.
I want the virgins.
That's right. Now, this afterlife is definitely for men, Maybe we should be on Spike TV or something here, and now let's see. You get 7 houris, Houris. I think that's the virgins. Each one with dark eyes, ever a virgin and ever ready. boy, can't. Okay. So this means that they're outfitted with regenerating vaginas or something. I don't quite get it. Okay. And it's even better if you are a martyr for Islam. You get, I think, 72 of them or so.
Oh, okay. Is that it? If you're a martyr, you get 72. Otherwise, you get 7.
Right. So, which we actually have some women who are strapping on the bombs and doing the suicide bombings for Islam, and it makes me wonder. It makes me wonder. What have they bought into this virgin thing? That's kind of interesting. So.
What does it say? Does it say you will get 72 virgin females?
Ah, that's interesting. What value are virgin males?
So
anyway, we're getting off the subject.
Definitely not the topic of the show. Don't call in on that.
Right. So it's kind of interesting. So Islam definitely speaks to the corporal side of things, the appealing to hedonism and appealing to our sense of taste and sense of smell,
the spiritual side,
sexuality, and all that good stuff. So that's pretty interesting. Catholic version. There's one of the things I find very amusing about the Christian version of heaven is one of the benefits of being in heaven is apparently you get to look down on hell and enjoy the torment of everybody else.
I've heard that.
Yeah. So there's this great quote here: "The happiness of the elect will consist in part of witnessing the torments of the damned in hell, among whom may be their own children, parents, husbands, wives, and friends. But instead of taking part in their miserable suffering, they will say, 'Amen, hallelujah, praise the Lord.'" And this is written by Reverend Nathaniel Emmons in 1745. So
see, that is just plain.
That's sick.
Sick.
That's really sad, isn't it?
To say, I will see my parents down in hell or something like that, and I will be laughing and cheering on their cries of pain and torment.
And the reasoning behind this is that you'll be so happy that God's justice is done, that everything is just as it should be. And that's
is that justice?
I don't think so.
That cannot be considered
I think
justice.
That's pretty nasty. Okay, so that's heaven, and this is supposed to go on forever and ever, right?
Seems like it would get kind of old after a while.
Yeah, so there's this question of
comedy wears off after you tell a joke a couple times.
Right. So there's this question of, do souls have free will in heaven? Right? Can they decide? Oh well, this was a mistake. I'm gonna go somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so that's an interesting little theological debate you can get into.
Well, actually, again, Mormons believe that you can. If you're in hell and you become a good Mormon and a good person in hell, you can earn your way into heaven.
A good Mormon in hell.
Yeah, then you can earn your way into heaven.
That sounds like a great name for a band or something.
And they actually have these post-mortem, I can't remember the term for it, where you get the baptism.
Post-mortem baptism.
Yeah, and basically I've seen this before.
Is this a steam bath or...
Basically, they will get they actually did this, I think it was in Russia, I want to say. They got a list of all these people that had died, and they basically baptized them all.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's
so
very much part of
the
Mormon belief is
if you can't get them in birth and life,
blessing sort of thing for everybody, and the Jews really don't like that. They're very annoyed by that whole thing.
Well, yeah, I mean, apparently a lot of religions get a little bit ticked off at it because they're trying to steal souls from one and put it to the other, and something wacky like that. I don't know if there's there's gods in heaven having tug of war with your arms or something.
Right.
Saying no, he's mine.
I just saw the movie Constantine last night. There's actually a tug of war.
I actually did see that
in that
too.
movie.
That was not bad.
Anyway, a good movie. Okay. What about hell? What about hell? Tremendous suffering from all time. Go ahead. You're going to say something.
I'm just seeing the note on your thing. How to get there.
How to get there. We're not quite sure. We're not quite sure.
Give me a map.
Right. So lots of corporal punishment analogies, burning, fire and brimstone, all that good stuff.
Demons with pokers.
Interestingly, belief in hell is waning. People aren't believing in hell quite as much as they used to in the past. There's a study from Barna and Associates that only 31% of adults believe in hell as a place of torment where people may be sent. This particular article comes from a Christian site and is claiming that, well, we're all too PC, too politically correct, and that. So
are they saying that most people don't believe in hell, as in 70% people don't believe in hell, or they believe in something lighter than eternal punishment?
Hell light. I think various folks say, well, it's just separation from God, right?
Okay. All right.
And some might even claim we're living in hell right now, and that we're
this is as bad as it gets.
If this is as bad as it gets, well, we can cope.
Yeah.
We can cope with that. So this is an interesting question, though. If people don't believe in it, does that mean it doesn't exist? Right? Is hell a popularity contest? Is reality based on a vote?
Yeah.
Right?
Is God going to play the "I'll show you" card on those when he died? You don't believe in hell? Well, let me show you.
Right. So in a church, there's obviously this conflict between talking about hell is like kind of depressing. Nobody's really too fond of hearing about this and dealing with it. But so they run the risk of kind of running people off if they talk about hell too much. But at the same time, if they don't talk about it, then they're not being true to their religion. So that's a problem. Some churches have gone so far as to say that hell doesn't exist. I think that one of the churches of England, I don't know if it's the main one, it basically made the statement that hell just doesn't exist. There's the problem of who created hell. Well, God did, of course. He must be kind of sadistic if he created this place. And there's the whole idea of well, if it's just a matter of believing. Hitler believed, and Mussolini believed, and Franco believed. Are they all in heaven or are they all in hell?
Yeah.
There's a claim that Satan is running hell, and I don't know why he would be involved in doing that.
Yeah, God is apparently all-powerful, but he needs to, delegate authority elsewhere. He can't do it all himself.
Right. But supposedly Satan isn't working for God, but that's another story. Then we have this Catholic construction called Limbo and Purgatory.
Yes.
Well, Limbo is where all the little babies go that don't quite make it, right? And because there's this problem of where do people go before they have a chance to believe, right? Certainly embryos don't get a chance to believe, and maybe young children don't because they don't necessarily understand this age of reason issue, right?
Don't have the mental faculty for it.
Right. And so the Catholics created Limbo, and it turns out that if this is true, Limbo will have at least twice the population of heaven and hell combined. And how do I arrive at that figure? Well, it turns out that fewer than 1/3 of the conceptions culminate in a live birth. So two-thirds of the people that ever existed, if you want to define a person as
being a conceived embryo,
as a conceived embryo, which may or may not be a valid definition, but if you want to choose that definition, then 2/3 of the people that have ever lived never made it very far.
Wow.
So there's this notion that you're going to have these profound conversations in heaven with all these if the babies are going to heaven. Yeah. So there's this limbo, and I guess the way the limbo works is until Jesus comes back, these babies are all stuck there. I don't know if there's any notion of torture or anything, but there's this notion of purgatory, which is another Catholic construction. And this is an invention of the Catholic Church, and this is the idea that, well, if you believe and you have all these sins, we got to do something about these sins. So you go to purgatory and you suffer what would be the torments of hell, but only for a limited amount of time.
Okay.
And you are cleansed of these sins, and then after that you go to heaven. And so they've created this, and they have this notion of indulgences in the Catholic Church. And this is kind of an old notion that well, if you give money to the Catholic Church and you do nice things for the church, you help build a church, or you put some nice art in there or whatever, they'll give you an indulgence. They'll speak on God's behalf for you and shorten your length of time in purgatory. Okay. So and this is one of the reasons why Martin Luther started the Reformation and this schism in the church over this whole issue of indulgences and whether the Catholic Church was doing that, because they were obviously doing it. An obvious effect is that they were making money off of it and gaining power by it.
Yeah, I'll pay you $30 for my indulgence.
Right, and this is still going on today, and biblical scholars have a hard time finding any real justification in the Bible for this purgatory.
But again, at least it's one of those slightly nicer concepts, rather than just you jaywalked, you burn in hell for all eternity.
Right,
which is the typical Christian thing.
Right, it solves this problem of
any sin at all, no matter how small, and you deserve hell forever. Which is obviously rather unfair. I always say, where's God's parking ticket?
And it solves this problem of, well, if you know that you're going to burn in hell because maybe I'm not a believer, or I was a bastard child, or only have one testicle or something, and you're going to be in hell. Why do any good? Why bother, right? Exactly. I mean, twice infinity is still infinity, right? If God's going to torture you twice as much, it's still going to be an infinite amount of torture. So why do any good? So it helps solve that problem. So it might be kind or gentler, but it certainly doesn't have any.
It's slightly more PC.
Slightly more PC, right? So how do we get to heaven and hell? Well, the Protestants would claim it's just belief. Catholics claim it's a little more complicated. You have to go through purgatory.
Do they say you have to go through purgatory? Do you know?
Yes. If you have any sins, well, presumably everybody has sins, right? Because it's part of our birthright from being.
Okay. All right.
So But the Protestants claim that just believing is enough. So Hitler and Mussolini and Franco are all in heaven. Gandhi, Einstein, Helen Keller, Mark Twain, or whatever, are in hell. I think there's a wonderful quote. What is it? Heaven for the weather and hell for the company, or something.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So I guess we can put up the number, but let me conclude as we put up the number. We're accepting calls today. When you want to give a little spiel?
We are a live call-in show, so if you have any questions, today is February 27th. So if you're watching live, if you have any questions or comments, concerns, anything like that, please go ahead and give us a call. Phone number is on your screen.
Yeah. So the punchline, I think, here is that this notion of a soul and this notion of heaven and hell are just concepts to manipulate people and to do real harm to humans. It plays on people's fears, and it's a means to manipulate them. And it's effectively a way of selling out your fellow man to curry favor with God. If we're suffering from a lack of stem cell research that might be going on. We have people tearing down the teaching of evolution in order to try to, curry favor with God, promoting ignorance about contraception, vilifying gays and lesbians. All our holy wars are about belief. So what good is it?
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess we have a couple callers.
Okay, we will go ahead and get to them in a couple of minutes.
You got some other announcements?
Well, not really announcements. I did get an email over last week, and I won't go over the whole thing because it's kind of long. But I will touch on one or two of the main points, and then I'll maybe get back to it if we got some more time. First off, it started off saying, well, here's a quote. It has become pretty clear to me through watching your show that it's not that you believe God does not exist, it's that you take exception to how he conducts his business, and so rather than submit yourself to that God, you assume that he does not exist because the things you observe don't fall in line with how you would do things if you were God. I can understand how that
we come across that
accident, perhaps, or mistake would happen. We do spend a lot of time. You just spent a lot of time talking about heaven and hell. We don't believe in it. I don't think God exists. But to say, and the main reason I don't believe God exists is because believers have yet to fulfill the burden of proof. They have put forth this idea that there is an all-powerful God who created the world and loves you, or there's an all-powerful God who created the world. Different religions take over from that point and put different things onto that definition. But there's an all-powerful God. I don't think that they've proven that yet. I don't think that they have provided any sufficient evidence to warrant such an outlandish claim. And so until they do, the only rational thing to do is not believe. However, having an hour-and-a-half show every week to say that and that alone gets old. So we have lots of other arguments that say, okay, even assuming the Christian God is absolutely 100% real, just for argument's sake, let's say the Bible is perfectly true. Well, you've got the moral problems, the problem of evil, for instance. You have got contradictions in the Bible. Why would a so-called perfect book by a perfect author have any problems with it? So there are contradictions in the Bible that cause problems. There's the idea that just believing in God makes you a good person. You're more moral and you're likely to do better things if you just believe in God. Well, that's been shown to be false also. So simply just having belief doesn't make you a good person. And so it goes on from there. But we do have lots of arguments and lots of issues to say, okay, let's just assume for a moment that there is a God. What would that mean? Let's carry that argument to its logical conclusion.
Right. Playing devil's advocate.
Exactly,
sense, right?
And see what problems come up with that. Just saying that you haven't met your burden of proof again and again and again and again and again gets old. So anyway, we'll get on to other points later on if we need to, but I just thought that was important because we don't point that out enough.
We enjoy feedback from our viewers, both on the phone and we have an email address, tv@atheistcommunity.org.
Yep.
If you don't get your call in or you have some elaborate thing that you want to talk about or whatever,
there's the email address.
We like your feedback.
Yes. And if you're atheist-friendly people, we're going to Chili's tonight. Come meet us there.
Right.
Okay, anyway, we have got callers. So let's go on to Nigel. Are you there?
Hello?
Yes.
Hi. I have some questions about the afterlife.
Okay.
Do you believe that the worse a person's personality is, then he goes to a different place other than someone who is actually really good?
We don't believe in souls or an afterlife at all. So when you die, you're gone.
Yeah, as we were kind of explaining, we don't believe that there are any gods or seen any evidence of an afterlife or anything like that. So I would say that when you die, you die. That's the end of the story.
But I think atheists would add that you have an impact on the world.
Of
you
course.
You leave a legacy of the people you love, your children, those sorts of things, and in that sense you live on, but not in the sense of personality.
Yeah, there's no conscience there.
But if a person lives a good life, he doesn't get any reward for it in the end? Like Mother Teresa. She did so many things for...
No, we don't believe that you do.
Again, her actions live on in the sense that people remember her and they have good, fondness for her, things like that. But in terms of her consciousness, her enjoyment of life or something like that, that ended when she died. That's one of the kind of sucky things. I don't like it that in 50 years or so, I'm just going to die. And that will be the end of my life. All consciousness and brain functions and, my perspective and everything will just end.
So for atheists, that makes our lives very valuable, right?
Exactly.
We want to live life to its fullest because it really is finite. It really does. It really is a short thing.
Yeah, use it while you got it.
Well, it's very sucky indeed.
Yeah.
Well,
Truth doesn't always have to be.
Do you believe that science and religion can ever come together? Because I know how much you love science.
We do.
It depends on how you define religion. If religion is constantly going to be saying that there is some spirit which is completely outside of science, cannot be tested, cannot be proved, cannot be probed, cannot be predicted in any way, shape, or form, then I don't see how they can come together. Mostly because science has to deal with a world that is purely naturalistic and can be explained through physics, cosmology, chemistry, all of that. If you want to use an example of if you put hydrogen and oxygen together, you get water. Science says because of chemistry and how physics and how atoms and molecules work, that's what's going to happen.
Well, maybe God created hydrogen and oxygen.
What is that?
Maybe God created hydrogen and oxygen molecules.
Well, that's going back a bit farther. But what I'm saying is if you put hydrogen and oxygen together, you get water. If you all of a sudden have to force science to accept that there is some spirit who could be meddling with the results, and he could be forming the water. It's not the actual molecules, it's just he's doing it.
Right.
Then
or gremlin or whatever.
Then
right.
No predictions that science ever makes will ever be worth anything because God could be in there doing something strange. And so if you're going to take 30,000 tons of rocket fuel and strap yourself to it, try and go somewhere to the moon, if God's going to be in there and meddling around with the results, I'm going to make sure it's not my butt on top of the rocket. It's going to be somebody else's or nobody's because we don't know what's going to happen.
You're kind of making a point like the movie The Matrix where there was this alternate reality.
That's a great movie, by the way.
Yeah, it was a great movie.
I love that movie.
But in there, the reality of the people in there was fabricated, and we don't believe that that's what's going on. Effectively, the computer or whatever doing that fabrication was God, right? And that's the type of God that Ashley's talking about. Is how can you possibly reason about the world if the world is artificial and kind of a house of mirrors? So to get back to your original question, if God never interacts with the world, then science can't say anything about it because science deals with what happens in the real world.
Well, which is the strangest thing, because when I actually saw that movie, I was thinking, where does God come into this? Because I'm a devout Christian.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. And, this is pretty depressing. I'll keep on believing what I will believe. Thank you for your input.
Well, thank you.
Okay, thank you
for calling.
Okay, bye.
And again, the truth and the world isn't always pretty. There are bad things that happen in this world, and just because you don't like it doesn't mean that it's not real.
Yeah, and we believe it's much better to take reality as it is, and rather than buy into a fantasy that might be more pleasant or whatever.
Exactly. You have an opportunity to make this world a better place while we're here right now. Let's take a hold and use that opportunity and enjoy life while we have it. Use it to its fullest, rather than hoping and waiting for the real life, which is going to come later on after we die.
Right. This isn't just a place to wipe your feet.
So, exactly. So anyway, we have more callers on the line. Let's go on to, let's see, Santiago?
Hi, yes. This is actually Travis. I'm on the phone.
Okay.
You're talking about the, when you talk about molecules, is it all right if I hop on that subject real quick? What really theory is there behind that, like, these molecules, like, I mean, understanding we're made of hydrocarbons and whatnot, correct?
Yeah.
I mean, I know
what water. What evidence is there that, like, these molecules that could once form together that non-living matter to then create a living matter? And even if science could prove that, what theory is there that these molecules could then actually reproduce itself and create other living objects?
Okay, I see. So you're basically asking, how did life originally start from just,
Yeah, I mean, how are these, like, atoms going to, like, randomly smash into each other and then, like, start thinking, okay, here I'm going to eat other organisms and grow, and then before I know it, these molecules are now.
Yeah, there are a couple different theories out there that kind of talk about that thing. It's actually called abiogenesis. Is the idea of, how did life originate in the first place? Evolution takes over after you already have life, and it goes on from there. But as to how it got started, that's abiogenesis. There are a couple different theories about that in terms of what the atmosphere was like on Earth that time, what molecules were present, basic chemistry and how it works. It's not quite as simple as just atoms bumping into each other and all of a sudden a mouse crawls out. It's significantly more complicated than that. It takes a lot longer than that.
Well, I don't.
But there are some theories out there.
Evidence that I would see, though. I mean, I don't know. I think that religion offers a better definition, and until science can actually prove that, I would be like with you guys.
Actually,
until
it
that
doesn't.
Happens, I don't see.
But you see, the problem is religion doesn't offer any answers. Science, at least, is trying to find out and trying to work on it. If you go to talkorigins.org, it's on our website, it's on our screen. It has some details there as to what the prevailing theories are.
Yeah, and I can attempt to answer the question a little better.
But just a quick note before you
go ahead.
But religion doesn't offer any answers to theories. It just said, well, I don't know, God did it. End of discussion.
It substitutes more than I don't know, God did it. But.
Well, not much more. And then it just gives the argument of, well, where did God come from? Assuming life needs some kind of special
reproduce that in the lab, then I'm on board with you guys. But like, we've never been able to get atoms to form life out of just these random atoms, have we?
We have
formed complex biological atoms.
Okay, we got a sheep.
We have these chemicals called amino acids, and they're naturally occurring chemicals. And RNA, ribonucleic acid, which is a complement to DNA, is basically just a string of these things, okay? And under some conditions, RNA can effectively make another copy of itself. So RNA is really just a string of these. It's like a string of beads.
Well, RNA copies DNA, and then that reproduces.
Well, there's actually some theories that the origination.
Where does RNA reproduce RNA?
There's actually some theories that it could have started off the other way around, as in RNA was the original molecule and DNA came from that. Again, we're not biological scientists, so I can't talk with real authority on this.
Yeah. So the theory I'm describing is called the RNA world theory. So that's a potential answer to the question. And no, we haven't created life out of a test tube, but we have, for example, we have taken the code of a virus and created a viable virus from just the code. So that says that there's really nothing more there than just the information contained in the sequence of those amino acids.
Yeah, but then a lot of scientists argue that like viruses aren't even actually life; it's more protein.
That's true. That's true. So it's not a solved problem, but I think that this website up here, talkorigins.org, We'll give you the latest science on that, and these are good questions, and we're working on those, or scientists are working on those.
And it's something to where if you don't know what the answer is, the best thing to do is just, withhold judgment. Where did life start? Not sure.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no problem with saying, I don't know and I'm not sure, rather than saying, I have this hole in my knowledge, I must fill it up. Okay, God did it.
Or create a theory that can be falsified or
Exactly.
Well, I
confirmed.
think you're right. Facts, though. It just seems like religion has more built in than the science right now.
Religion has more answers. Whether it compromises on the correctness of the answers, whereas science is trying very hard to get the right answers and is willing to say I don't know in cases where it doesn't know.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's I see as the distinction between the two.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Still, it's pretty good. But,
So-
all right, well,
okay.
good talking to you guys.
Thank
Okay,
you.
thanks for calling.
All right, well.
Yeah, that's this whole God of the gaps thing, right? If there's something unexplained, well, God must have done it, right? And then. God must be getting smaller and smaller as we learn more, right?
Yeah. and since science cannot probe, cannot touch, cannot take apart, analyze anything about God, then essentially that ends all discussion.
Well, unless God has an influence on the world, right? In which case we could detect that, right?
True. Well, he has an influence, but they're going to say it's always unpredictable. He's outside of our understanding. And so basically, whenever you do have that hole and you say, okay, God did it, all discussion stops.
Right.
There no more study needed because you're not going to find anything out. That's what God has done.
That's right.
It used to be
It's
that
kind of
God
like a
did
parent
light.
saying to his kid, because.
Exactly. I know.
It's a stop conversation, right?
Exactly. Why can't I say a because? Answers nothing. So parents do that because they have limited abilities.
And limited patience.
Limited patience and energy. God has infinite time. He could say, okay, look, here's how things happen. But he doesn't, so we have to kind of figure it out ourselves. All right, let's go on to yet more callers. We have got John, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what you got for us?
Yeah, I'm just curious about how did y'all, just because, it's there, y'all think that God isn't there or what? I mean, just because he hasn't stepped in, or what is exactly
We don't have any evidence of God.
Yeah, we haven't seen any evidence that such a being exists.
Basically on Judgment Day, when he does come, you're just going to be in trouble, huh, basically?
Assuming you're right.
Yeah.
Have you ever read the Bible? I mean, do y'all not look at the Bible?
Yeah, but I've also read, Mary Poppins and stuff like that. It doesn't hold all that much weight with me either.
Yeah, there's a thing called faith, too,
Okay, but blind faith in something, I could have sat down and said, okay, Mary Poppins absolutely real. Doesn't make it so.
Yeah,
just because
anybody
you
can
want
look
to
at
believe it doesn't make it true.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, anybody can say that. I mean, you can say that about the Greek gods, or
Exactly. People.
But I mean, when you sit there and you look at God's stuff and you look at everything that's in there, and you can go back and look in history to see if it
Yeah,
happened.
but I don't see any of God's stuff.
Have you been over to like Israel or any of the
lots of believers in God, no doubt about it.
There's what?
Lots of believers in God, but that doesn't prove anything.
Yeah. Just because I've been to places that talked about in the Bible doesn't make the entire thing true. Again, Mary Poppins talked about London. That,
Right.
London is very real. I was there for a long, long time.
Umbrellas, too.
Exactly. That doesn't make the rest of the story true. Now, exactly where the truth and the story begins in the Bible, there's a lot of debate on that. But as far as supernatural gods creating universes, that much I can say pretty definitively, yeah, it's not true.
Well, I really disagree with you. I strongly disagree.
Yeah, that's fine.
If you look at this, I just have a question. How can you look at, like, my belief is that God is there and that he, isn't necessarily going to step in every second, like I was saying. I mean, take, for instance, the tsunami, right?
Yeah.
I believe that he gives us the power to do something about it. I mean, we have capabilities of stopping that, or at least warning people, don't we?
Not really.
Warning we do, yes.
Warning to a slight extent, but again, he still allowed something like that to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, he puts us there. He puts the knowledge in us to know. He lets us know that, wow, I give you this knowledge to know, put it to work, so that way we can stop it. I mean, he gives us the knowledge.
But they didn't have knowledge there, and that's not something that we could have stopped. We don't have the power to.
What about
stop
viruses?
Like
We're still struggling with how to deal with viruses like the flu and AIDS and Ebola and all. I guess that's a bacteria though. But all these little germs. It's like, well.
What do you think he's going to give us everything? I mean, it's our brain. He gives us the brain. We're supposed to use it.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's
in the
what
meantime,
we're
supposed to die and suffer because of his little creation.
Die and suffer. That's right. You live your life right. You go live on.
Okay, but
what
that doesn't
do you have of
excuse
that?
suffering.
That's what?
That doesn't excuse suffering.
What do you mean you're suffering? Y'all are suffering there?
You claim that God...
There is a lot of suffering in this life that God apparently doesn't have any big issues with. He allows people to die horrible deaths.
He's not benevolent.
Like and he doesn't do anything about it. How... Okay, here, let's go back to a smaller analogy. If I see someone killing someone else, I have a moral obligation to go in there and try and stop them.
Yes.
I would be morally reprehensible to say, hey, their life. Police have a legal obligation. They must go in and try and help.
Yes.
So why is it that when a tsunami is coming and it's going to kill 100,000 plus people, 160,000 people, can God say, hey, I gave you the knowledge?
Mm-hmm. Not my responsibility.
Exactly. How does he get off the moral hook to say, hey, not my problem?
So you're saying, how does he just like sit there and let it happen?
Basically, yeah. He assumably has the power and the knowledge and everything like that to stop it.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He could stop it if he wanted.
Why doesn't he then?
Because it's our job. Like I was saying, it's our job to know when stuff like that is coming. I mean,
okay, and it's the murder victim's job to make sure that they don't go in dark alleys.
No, that's just the devil working with people.
No. But again,
yes.
Just saying that it's your responsibility doesn't. Again, God is allowing this to happen. And so you think it's a valid punishment to say, since you didn't know and you should have, you deserve to die.
No one deserves to die.
That's what you said. God said, I gave you the knowledge, therefore, since you didn't use it, all bets are off. You're on your own.
That's right. If you don't use the knowledge and go to church and live your life right, where are you going? To hell. That's right. You're going to burn in hell.
So we're punishing the victims is what's going on.
Yeah.
Let me just tell you something. If y'all think that y'all are suffering now, you're really in trouble when you get to hell, because it's obvious y'all two are going to hell. I hope you find the Lord.
If he's actually out there, I kind of hope I hope we do. Because again, he hasn't done, from what I can tell, pretty much anything to show us. Especially when it's something as drastic as that. If it's something as major as you will have eternal life in heaven, or you will have eternal torment in hell, that's not it doesn't really matter so much. You're not going to lose out big time or anything. It's kind of an even toss. If that were the case and God wanted to stand back and say, I gave you a little bit of knowledge, do with it what you will.
Right.
That I wouldn't have so much of a problem with.
Right. And what about kids that definitely suffer, right? But don't have the knowledge until adolescence or something, or sometime later, and is it just to cause suffering for people who don't have this knowledge, right?
Yeah. If there's
I don't buy this. Sorry.
If there is a God out there, and he is toying with something as I consider valuable as my eternal existence, he better damn well show himself.
Yep.
And just, proof of his existence doesn't turn you into a mindless robot, which is what some people argue. If you knew about God, well, you just bow down and worship him and you'd love him, and, that's not true love. That's not free will. Bollocks. People know about the existence of laws. They know the police exist. They know that murder is wrong, for instance, but they still do it. Just because I know that God exists. Again, if I found out today through somehow that the Bible is perfectly 100% accurate, while I may believe in God, he's got some serious explaining to do before I will ever even consider giving him a thumbs up, let alone praise and worship.
Right.
Just off the cuff, wiping out the population of the world with a flood.
Oh yeah,
could use a little bit of explanation.
The God of the Old Testament is a sadist.
Yeah, I mean, just a little bit of explanation. The need to slaughter goats and cattle in the Old Testament.
Right, because he liked the smell of the burning flesh.
Exactly.
Yeah.
For 4,000 years, we had to burn cows to make him happy.
Right.
You know, how does that get me off the hook if I burn my livestock? Nowadays, it's no longer livestock. It's now, I just have to believe that he came down and got the stuffing beat out of him and then got killed to forgive me. It's not like I have any personal responsibility or anything like that. I mean, come on, that takes actual work. As long as I believe, then you're okay. I don't think that's right. So, if that is how God set things up, I may be able to believe that he exists. I don't like the guy, though. So we're going to have words. All right. Anyway, we have got callers lined up. We're going to be going out after the show. Again, any atheist-friendly people going to be going out to Chili's after the show. Right. So
it's not just us, it's our wonderful crew that are behind the scenes working very hard, making this thing happen.
Friends. So come down and meet some of us. It'll be a great time.
Come down and get one of these fancy dancy bumper stickers.
Exactly. So anyway, it's 5:30. It's February 27th. If you got any questions or comments, use the phone number that's on your screen. Shannon, you there?
Yes. Hello.
Okay. How you doing?
Oh, wonderful. I'm very glad there was a break between me and the last caller, so I'm not still laughing. Yeah. I'm here with my 91-year-old father-in-law who has been watching your show for years and religiously taping it.
Excellent.
And is quite a committed atheist. And I go to the UU Church, which is, church for atheists with children, because the kids have the highest SAT scores of all the religions. You can look that up online.
Oh, I haven't heard that one, actually. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I've been part of the anti-aging movement for a while. I'm actually a member with Alcor, to be cryogenically frozen.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And I just, I think, you deserve heaps of praise. You do a wonderful job when people call, and you have wonderful arguments, and it'd be a lot of fun to be sitting where you are.
Absolutely.
It's entertaining at times.
Yeah, very entertaining. And ever since, the Epicureans, we have had atheists, and I guess I was calling just a little bit about the atheist movement, because very much the arguments are the same, and even the Epicureans, they still, in the end, didn't want to die and, planned for their own death, and I don't think really anyone in any religion wants to die. Sorry, I have a little 3-year-old here. I have 3 children, quite precocious children, all little Alcor members. Yes, and actually my daughter is raising money for the Methuselah Mouse Foundation, which is for, getting more research for anti-aging. You can look that up online, the M Prize.
Yeah, Jeff D is actually a big one on
the
transhumanism side of things, and looking into Alcor and all that kind of information. He's done a couple talks on that.
Oh yeah.
So that's really interesting.
How to improve ourselves through science. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, even if we have been having through evil, with the devil and the God for a long time, and all the different religions and the cultures around the world, good and bad, we still have progressed a long ways in our science, and we live a lot longer today than we did 100 years ago or 1,000 years ago.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And we, with our knowledge, however we have, acquired it, people used to think it was against God or blasphemy to fly or to use painkillers or to give artificial blood, things that are quite common today.
Yeah. Some people still think
just dissection. That was a big battle. Dissecting corpses to learn how the body worked. Was a big battle. Thankfully, science won out on that one.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of good medicine that came out of that, and understanding of the way the body worked.
Yeah, but it's still disturbing exactly how many religions still have a problem with medicine. I know Jehovah's Witnesses don't do blood transfusions. The Church of Christ doesn't refuse pretty much all medical technology. Christian Scientists are actually the same people, I think.
Christian Scientists, yeah.
They refuse all medical technology, period. And that's frightening. I mean, again, once they're adults, if they know what they're doing, okay.
It's wonderful also to donate your body to science. My sweet father-in-law, his adorable wife, just passed away on February 3rd. And we were in the home here helping her. And it was very sad experience that we couldn't do anymore. And her body was donated for science, for medical students.
Well, that's admirable.
Okay, well, that's good.
So maybe some benefit will come out of that.
Yeah.
But kind of the general point is that we have the intelligence to do things. And if you look at some of the work being done now on the current science of anti-aging, I'm one of the authors in the book, The Scientific Conquest of Death. And if you haven't read that, I would highly recommend it.
Not biased.
A little plug for the book. Okay.
Yes, The Scientific Conquest. Ray Kurzweil and some others are in it. Yeah, Max Moore, another Austinite.
Okay.
And but it's good to see what is being done in current science and kind of what our future potential is.
Exactly.
And that's, to me, something where we need to be focusing our energies, especially. I got to hear, Mark speak last night, which was fun. He came back from the dead, the little show that was in town, to just what he would say about seeing society today. And we still have a lot of ills, and we still have a lot of discrepancy and disparity between the rich and the poor and societal problems and all that.
We're certainly not perfect, but science has done a lot more to progress humanity and make life better in the world than religion ever will.
Yeah, which is why I believe we need to end aging so everybody, whatever religion they have, can have more time doing good for their own beliefs and their own religion. I mean, that's the general thing. So it kind of behooves anyone.
Yep. If you want to be balanced and fair about it, if you're going to give $10 to the church, give $5 and mail the other $5 to a reputable science organization.
Oh, unless, of course, you are and you have the highest test scores, higher than the other, Jews, Mennonites, they had all the, the listing there.
Yeah, there's also this study that I think religious people are over, the population in prison is more religious than the population outside.
Oh, yeah.
So in general, there's not enough atheists in prison.
Disproportionately few atheists in prisons, for example, right?
So we don't commit enough crimes, apparently. So...
That's right. Our broken moral system, I guess.
Exactly.
To blame.
We don't know morals, but we're sitting here arguing about it rather than committing crimes.
And instead of promoting religion in jails and things, maybe we should teach them to read or teach them how to reason and teach them how to be responsible, things like that.
Exactly.
That wouldn't benefit
such a controversial thought.
Privatized, jails as much,
right, and the faith-based charity stuff.
Wouldn't make as much money for them. Adding, prison beds and such.
Yeah. Oh well. Okay. Did you have anything else for us?
Well, no. That's all. Okay. I just wanted to thank you guys.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot for watching.
Thank you. It warms my heart to hear about our fans like that.
Exactly.
Great.
It's always nice to know that there are people watching. So.
There's a news piece that I have that's very relevant to the last call.
Okay.
Apparently, the Vatican has issued a statement that they're decrying the religion of health in affluent countries. So let me read the first paragraph here. Vatican officials on Thursday decried what they called a religion of health in affluent societies and held out Roman Catholic Pope John Paul's Stoic suffering as an antidote to the mentality that modern medicine must cure all. Well, if you have a way of reducing suffering, why not use it, right?
Exactly.
And let's see.
Well, I think he talked about that, doesn't he?
Yeah. The Pope's message is that suffering is part of life and has meaning. So.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. So
suffering is good, but of course the Pope goes to the hospital when his health goes worse. So apparently he doesn't believe it. He may not even believe in an afterlife if he's not, or that he's going to heaven, right?
He just doesn't get the painkillers. So
okay.
Who knows?
Okay.
No, I'm sorry. It is kind of medicine's health to try and reduce pain and suffering. Yeah, if you're to the point of pain, it has served its purpose. you know something's wrong. So, get it.
Yeah, we had a caller talk about Mother Teresa earlier. She had a so-called clinic in India, and she never used any painkillers there. I mean, her mindset was that suffering is good and noble, and she called them kisses from Jesus. You know, if you had pain, that was kisses from Jesus, and so she was, you know, you might claim that she was something of a sadist.
One heck of a kiss.
Yeah. So we don't buy it. You know, it's like
that's wild.
We make our own meaning in life.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it's 5:40. We're live today, February 27th. If you got any questions or comments, phone number will be on your screen shortly. Let's go on to Jeffrey. You there?
How you doing, man?
Yeah, pretty well. What you got for us?
Well, my bad. I'm just wondering, if y'all don't believe in a God, a creator, how do you think the Earth was created? I mean, it wasn't just created from the Big Bang, man. There has to be something else that created Earth and the universe.
Actually, the Big Bang is the best evidence. Most of the evidence does point back to something like that. Creating, you know, putting all the stuff here as we know it. Physics and stuff then took over, physics and cosmology, to actually form planets and stars and fun stuff like that.
Right. So our solar system was created by the gravity acting on all this matter that was sitting out there and swirled it around, and enough...
yeah, we don't see any evidence.
I find it hard to believe that there was just all this stuff hanging out in the middle of nowhere, and then all of a sudden we were created. There's got to be some sort of being.
Yeah, but that isn't how it happened.
How that happened, man.
Well, again, the Big Bang put all the stuff here. It congealed into galaxies and stars and planets. How did what?
How did it put all the stuff here?
That goes back a little bit earlier than we know in science. We're working on that. We have
because science can't prove it yet. Science doesn't even know how the universe was created. They don't have enough evidence to prove that it was the Big Bang.
Well, we have evidence to prove it was a Big Bang. We know that for a fact. I mean, that's not in dispute. What actually caused it, how it started, stuff like that, that's what we're still unsure about, and that's what we're working on. That's where science is looking into things. As it currently stands, they don't know for sure. There are theories, though.
It's a debatable topic.
Yeah.
Well,
and just to say that, we don't know, therefore God did it, that's not answering anything.
Yeah.
So it's far more probable that you have this intelligence that magically appears out of even thinner air.
Well, I'm not saying that it necessarily was God that did it, but I think there's a good possibility that there's some sort of life form that the rules of space and Earth don't apply.
Where the rules don't apply.
Yeah. Why do the rules not have to apply to it? But
like
have
the basic rules of gravity and having to breathe oxygen to live, or I mean, I don't think any of that applies to some sort of supreme being. I think that's what created everything. I've read books on scientists debating about how something could just be created from nothing.
But is there any evidence? Make sense. But is there any evidence to support the idea that
where
there is some outside
life out there? This God has to come from nothing, right?
Yeah. If you want to go that direction, where did God come from?
That's the question of all questions, man.
Yeah.
So then why?
I think it was the invisible unicorn
we can have the idea
that created your God.
We can have the idea that cosmology, physics, chemistry, and such is what got us to where we are today. Well, and that's pretty well backed up by science. Or we can say God did it. Don't know why. Don't know how, don't know where he came from,
stop asking questions because
don't know anything like that, but apparently he did it for some reason. Science seems to have a better reasoning behind it and answers a lot more questions, and it doesn't bring up as many questions as God does. Because as soon as you introduce God in the equation, that's something that we don't have any idea about, and how does that thing work? How does that happen? Where did he come from?
I have no idea.
And what evidence do you have one way or the other?
Yeah. Well, here's a question for you.
Okay.
Let's say two days from now you were killed in a tornado, and you were sent to your soul was sent to right to God, and He was in your face and proved to you that He existed, and said, if you accept me as your Savior, you can come to heaven and live in peace. What would you do? Would you say, no, I still don't believe in you? Or would you say yes?
That would be ridiculous.
How is that ridiculous?
As soon as you have proof, then there's no need, obviously,
to believe.
There it is. You don't have any question of his existence.
You're just going to switch over like that.
Now,
so that might qualify as evidence.
As to the existence, what other explanation could there possibly be?
I don't know, man.
Exactly. I mean, it's obvious that then if God comes down and stomps around and says, "Look at me, I'm real," that yes, you'd believe in him.
Well, it wouldn't be a belief at that point. It'd be evidence.
Yeah,
right?
I believe in him like I believe in gravity. But now the question comes, as in, will you? What was the word you said? Will you
cozy up?
Would you accept him as your savior?
Accept him as Savior. I'd have to know what that means. As in, if I accept that he created the world,
he sacrificed himself on the cross to forgive everybody for their sins. He gave his own life, so that's why he's our savior.
Well,
so that's
apparently
why
he
you
didn't
need to accept him for that.
Apparently, he didn't give his own life, since now I'm talking to him again. But I would have issue with several of the things that he has done. So I don't think it's fair or right that because Adam and Eve did something wrong, and there's a whole bunch of arguments that we could have on that one anyway.
Yeah.
Just because they did something wrong, that all of humankind should be damned in perpetuity for what they did.
Well,
I think that sucks.
We're not damned.
Well, yes, you are. If you don't accept Jesus Christ, then you deserve to burn in hell. That's what the Bible says. If you don't accept Jesus, you deserve eternal torment. Not because of anything you've actually done. Not because you've lived a bad life.
Don't you think God would give every person a chance, even if they do or don't believe in?
Not according to the Bible.
Either you believe the Bible or you don't believe the Bible.
Exactly. I mean, if you have something else that you're going on, and you think God would give you a chance based on how you've lived your life, well, that's something different. But if it's the God of the Bible, it doesn't say that.
be a Muslim or something.
The God of the Bible says, if you don't believe in Jesus, you deserve hell.
This is the New Testament.
That's it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what kind of life you've lived.
Well, let's switch topics, I guess. What do you feel about homosexuality in religion? Because it's shunned upon. Are you all homosexuals? And I'm not trying to be rude, but it's just an honest question.
It is something that atheism doesn't care about. Atheism is lack of belief in a God.
All right.
Sexual orientation has nothing to do with that usually, so I don't care.
Yeah, it's part of nature. There's lots of species that have a homosexual, or same-sex.
Yeah, I mean, atheism is not racist in any way. It's not based on sexual orientation. If you don't believe in God, you're an atheist. As for everything else, don't really care.
Well, I was doing some reading in the Bible, excuse me, and there's some evidence to prove that you guys are fucking unicorns, you people.
So, yeah, well, we have better evidence that we're not unicorns, okay? All right, let's go on.
I was 12 once. I remember those days.
All right, anyway, phone number is on your screen. If you got any questions or comments, please go ahead and give us a call. Let's go on to yet more callers. We have got, let's see, Will, you there?
Yeah.
What you got for us?
Well, I was wondering, do you think that we're united somewhere when we die?
I didn't hear your question.
Oh, I said, do you think we're united somewhere when we die?
United something. We don't believe in any kind of life after death. So whatever that would entail, no.
Well, then if we go nowhere after we die, then are we never to exist again?
That's
all the evidence that we have.
Yeah,
we have no evidence to believe otherwise.
Yeah, we have no proof of afterlife, reincarnation, anything like that. So, yeah, this is the one shot you have at life. Use it to the best.
Well, this is not really on topic, but how do you think we were created if there's no, creator, God? Do you think we grew out of the ground like a daisy or something?
Again, it's all back to biology, physics, chemistry, that type of thing. Science explains pretty well how we got to where we are.
How did we get here, then?
Again, it all goes back to biology and chemistry and such.
What is that?
You had the original planet, molecules got together, formed the first replicating molecules, which formed cells, which formed the first life, which evolution took over, got us where we are today.
Where did that come from?
All matter in the universe came from the Big Bang.
where did the Big Bang came from?
That's what we're not too sure on. We're working on that one.
Well,
Where'd your God come from?
Well, like you said, we're not sure. He was just always there.
Okay,
Like,
but why does God...
Is there anything in the...
Why does
Can
God...
you point to anything at all that has always been there?
God.
Okay, so why does God
He gets these magical properties.
Yeah, why does God get the exception to say, okay, we have the universe, which, according to you, couldn't have just always been there. It had to have a start. And you have God, which, well, that doesn't have to have a start. Why can't we make the universe be the thing that doesn't need a start?
Because
that just kind of was.
Because the Big Bang isn't real.
In what sense?
Because it's not real. It's your imagination.
If you look towards the actual evidence that we found, it's pretty real.
Our imagination.
Why does the co-host always laugh at everything?
So.
Because I'm amused.
Yeah, it doesn't really matter. Anyway, let's go on to someone who actually has a point, maybe. Let's go on. We have got, I believe it's one of our earlier callers, Santiago.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, hi. I was just calling because I've been watching the show for a while now, and it's actually been kind of interesting.
Okay.
You know, hearing everyone, like, trying to argue with y'all.
Okay.
But I just have a more simple question, really. Do y'all believe that there could be a consolation of philosophies, as Boethius put it, or, like, as early Christian philosophers thought, because they weren't very influenced into religion yet?
Is there a constellation of philosophies?
No, I'm saying, can there be a consolation of the philosophies? Like,
a consolidation?
I mean, I'm a Catholic, and I just moved here to the States, and honestly, like, the Bible's something, you know, Protestants really don't do it for me either, so I'm kind of with y'all somehow.
Okay.
You know?
So,
but at the same time, man, I still believe, you know, I don't know, I believe more in philosophy and that happiness cannot be attained on earth, but the only thing that would separate us, you and I guess, is that I don't think that it's finite, and I don't really want to argue that right now.
What isn't finite?
We'll both just stay here forever. I was just wondering, like, if there is any consolation of, like, you know, the theological world with the actual, like, world, with the physical world.
Again, it kind of goes back to the science-religion thing that we talked about earlier. I don't think the two are ever going to completely mesh, because religion typically means that it introduces something that is beyond science's comprehension. Science cannot prove, probe, predict, and such like that on God. So religion will always have this item in it which you can't know anything about. And science is always about what can we know for sure. And so the two can't be completely compatible, I don't think. Other people disagree.
I'm not really well educated in this, I guess, but I just know the Church of Scientology of it. What are they? Are they more science-based like y'all are?
No.
I mean, all y'all like base stuff is on science, and I don't want to base everything on the Bible, because believe me, the Bible was put together 600 years after Christ's death by a man that needed to save his empire.
Yeah.
And later ended up moving to another city, completely outside of Italy.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Constantine did his thing. That's cool, but I was just wondering,
you broke up.
I'm not going to base on the Bible, but we can't base everything on science. I'm looking at this as, like, not why we're here, but merely as we're here, you know, people find happiness. I'm looking for happiness. Y'all think happiness is just all earthly, and that unlike everyone, you know, else that's not atheist, that believes that happiness is given by something else that's supernatural, apparently.
Yeah. Well, I mean, happiness is something that you get in life. It's what makes you happy type thing. As far as being based on science, science has a proven track record of being reliable in showing what's real and what's not. Now, it doesn't mean that everything has to be scientific. I mean, it's still fun to just go watch a movie, which is not based on reality. It's somebody's imagination. I mean, there's still fun things in the world. It's not all based on, well, what has science shown to prove about blah, blah, blah. But as far as an afterlife is concerned, again, I don't see any evidence of it. So I don't see any reason to believe in it.
Okay.
It would be a nice idea. I mean, I love the idea of it. But just because I like it doesn't make it real.
Oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. That's actually a good point, because I'm not sure if it's there either, but I believe it is. I guess that's the core difference. But
Okay.
So, the end of a human life, it's finite, and you say that he is remembered through his actions with that call about Mother Teresa, how her actions still go on, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so as far as that finiteness, do you think that in our life we should strive to be good and, you know, and be virtuous, which is excellence in the good areas, as like the ancient Greeks put it?
Yeah.
To be virtuous, like, should we die a happy man? Is that our own choice, or, I mean, you know,
I think being good.
If I went to the atheist community of Austin, would everyone there agree with me that we should all die happy men?
I don't think I can find too many people who are going to disagree with that one. As far as living a good life, I think the better you live life, the more enjoyable it is. So you have a reason to be good. It's so that you enjoy life, and so that other people enjoy being around you. If you want to kill, steal, rape, and pillage, then, you know, you can do that. It's going to kind of suck, but, you know, you're free to do what you want. A lot of people are going to try and stop you. So if you live a good life and you try and make the world a better place, it'll be better for everyone, you included. So.
What do you think about philosophy?
It's pretty cool.
Lots of good stuff in there.
I mean, so is it something along the lines of kind of not being able to be proven to y'all? Like, do y'all see it as that, or do you see it, I mean, if you were to read the Treatise on Happiness by Thomas Aquinas, would you think it'd be like, wow, you know, this guy made sense, you know, Thomas Aquinas was a Catholic.
Yeah.
You know, he still, he still wrote about happiness and how to find, you know, how to be happy. Like, do you just see life as why we're here, we should just live on this earth and have a job? Or
No.
Is there not more to it?
No, learning about the world and life and people is definitely a good thing. Learning about, you know, what Thomas Aquinas, for instance, said is definitely a worthy thing. I place value in knowledge.
Yeah, we have,
like learning
we have
about
friends and family, and we you know, have social bonds just like everybody else, and we put a lot of value in those things.
Having philosophical discussions. I mean,
science robots here.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely enjoy those things.
Oh, no, I didn't mean it like that.
Well, yeah, I know, but I mean, philosophy is definitely something I enjoy to a certain extent. I can definitely look at, you know, people in philosophy who have said a lot of good things and say, okay, they made a lot of sense here, here, and here. They might have gone a little bit astray here, but here and here they made more good points.
Sure.
Pretty much everybody in the world is like that. Some people will occasionally bring up, because they don't like Darwin and evolution, well, Darwin was a racist. It's like, okay, so he made a mistake. He was dumb in that area. He still had a lot of other good ideas. Don't throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Yeah.
Thomas Aquinas, he was religious.
Value the ideas for what the idea is worth. Right?
Exactly.
Not the.
Just because someone's religious doesn't automatically mean that everything they say is completely worthless, or any other way.
That's good to know.
So.
All right. So. So pretty much, I'm just trying to get. I'm really calling out of sheer curiosity about atheism.
Okay.
Because that's what I hope y'all can help me out.
Yeah. Well, that's part of the purpose of our show.
Okay. So as a community, y'all like atheists here in Austin, y'all the ACA.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Austin.
Atheist Community of Austin.
Community of Austin. Yeah. So like when y'all get together and just talk, is it just support of like, you know, people that just, you know, don't believe in God and like period, and then just like.
Then it's all other
what do y'all
things.
do? I'm just wondering.
It's just like, well, church groups, I guess, are not the best analogy because typically.
No, don't give me a church group because I'm not a fan of them.
They have Bible studies and stuff like that. It's all religion based. Typically, we have a lot of discussions and debates on pretty much anything. Atheism is lack of belief in a God. That's it. Everything else is open for debate. So, and we take full advantage of that fact. Debate politics, religion. I mean, absolutely anything out there is open for discussion.
We follow science and constitutional law and all sorts of things.
It's everything from the latest scientific findings to the latest constitutional law to the latest, you know, arguments that we've heard on alt-atheism.
We're talking about
all the way down
today.
to, you know, did you see the Buffy repeat that they had on last night?
Right.
Crosses the gamut. Anyway, we're going to have to let you go at this point. We've just got a couple seconds left on the show.
Yeah, I got to go hit my blind.
But,
thank you so much for calling. Thank you to all our callers.
Yes. Anyone who's left or anyone else who thinks questions, you can always write us, tv@atheist-community.org. That's an email address where all of us will get it, and we can go ahead and reply to you. And if it's something good, we'll get you on the air. Thank you very much.
Chili's. Yeah, thank
Don,
you
for helping
out.
out.
Fun. I had fun today.
Also, we're going to Chili's after the show. Any atheist-friendly people feel more than welcome to come down and meet us. That's the southeast corner of I-35 and 183. And also next week, Karen Glasser will be our co-host. And again, Arlo Pignati will be on with Holy Paraphernalia Mania 3. All right. See you then.